Okay. Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for turning your passion into a business and career, which will be about 50 minutes. My name is Katrina, and I work for Wild Rivers Conservancy as the Environmental Education Coordinator. I will be in the background moderating the chat, helping with any technical difficulties during the session. And before we begin, I'd like to mention a couple of housekeeping notes. Clicking on the chat icon on the bottom of the screen will open the chat. If you have any technical issues or comments to make, this presentation work better, please put them in there. And if you have any questions at any point during this presentation, we encourage you to type those into the chat. We'll get to them at the end of the presentation. Just so you're aware, this session is being recorded and will be made permanently available on the Wild Rivers Conservancy YouTube account. And with all of that out of the way, I'd like to introduce our speaker and give the rest of the time to them. So please welcome Ray of Baztec.
All right, Katrina, thank you. All right, now I'm going to share my screen. Is that cool?
Yep, go ahead.
Let's see. One second here. Okay. All right. Katrina, just real quick, because all I see right now, I can see my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, we're good to go. All
Uh,
right. Well, let's go ahead.
your screen is not sharing.
Let me see what's going on. Let me go back. And I'm sorry, folks, for these technical difficulties, but we'll get this sorted out. Let me see here. Share. Okay. Oh, there we go. And I think that's it.
You all
Should
see a
be good to
screen?
go.
There we go.
All right, cool. There we go. Now we're good. Now we're cooking.
Yep, we see you now.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. My name is Ray Ruiz, and I first and foremost I just want to thank Katrina for putting this together. Thank you, Katrina. You're awesome, and all the folks at Wild Rivers Conservancy, and all the students that are here. Thank you for being here. It's an honor to present to you. When I was growing up, I really didn't have these opportunities. I never got to speak to pro anglers, especially online. We didn't have in the ancient days, because I'm pretty old. We didn't have we had computers, but the computers didn't do this stuff. So um, that being said, I'll be talking to you guys about a lot of different things. Please take notes and ask a lot of questions. The best advice I can give you is when you have anybody in front of you that is a professional at anything, and you're interested in that particular subject, pick their brain, ask them a lot of questions. Trust me, I never had those opportunities, so I'm honored to give you these opportunities along with Katrina and your teachers as well. Um, so let's start here. Let me go through this. As Katrina said, my name is Ray Ruiz. I'm the founder and of a business called Baztec Fishing that was established in 2017. We're Minnesota's first and only fishing platform dedicated to providing bilingual fishing opportunities, information, education, and resources to underserved communities. That's that being said, is we teach fishing to folks that don't know fishing or that do know fishing but want to get better at it. That's what we do. And what makes our business really cool and unique is I speak multiple languages, so I can disseminate that information in Espanol, in Portuguese. So in Spanish and Portuguese, I have other staff of mine that speak Hmong, that speak Korean, that speak multiple languages. So that's one of the cool things about anything you can do. If you can do it in a different language, you serve more people. So that's always a cool thing. So this is the business that we have, Baztec Inc., that was established back in even before this. Um, but I'll keep going here because in conjunction to the business, I also started a nonprofit organization. our our business is so grassroots that everyone thought we were a nonprofit, but we were a for-profit business. But we were doing work that was so grassroots that people were like, "Oh man, I thought you guys were a nonprofit, dude." And I was like, "Nah, bro, we're a for-profit business." So, um, however, I got really encouraged to start a nonprofit, so I started Baztec Fishing and Outdoors. And here, we do a little, we do we do things a little different. On the business side, it's very fishing centric, and Baztec Fishing Outdoors is a lot more diverse. It's more like we do hunting, we do kayaking, birding, camping. We do fishing as well, but we do other really cool stuff. So that's kind of the difference between one or the other. Let me move on here. So I want to talk to you about my background and origins because I just didn't wake up one day and become a professional angler. Your teachers that are with you, they just didn't wake up and become teachers. They had to work their butt off to get where they're at, just like everyone else, all the adults around you. And as a student, when I was a student, I didn't recognize that. I didn't see that, so I want you guys to really pay attention to that and what it takes to get to that place. So my background and origin, I grew up in Chi-Town. I grew up in the Windy City, born and raised there. Um, I'm just gonna be real with you guys. I grew up in a working class neighborhood. Now, if you look at the word neighborhood and you look at the end of the word hood, yeah, I grew up in the hood. What does that mean? Some people call it hood, some people call it the ghetto. It's the same thing. The ghetto, just a German word. But um, I grew up in a working class neighborhood, and there was a lot of really amazing people. However, the neighborhood wasn't the safest, which takes me to my next slide, which the neighborhood that I grew up, I'm not gonna lie, it was very dangerous. We had a lot of gangbangers, we had drugs, we had drive-bys, we had people getting beat up. Uh, just not the best environment for a kid that wanted to be a professional angler. You know what I mean? And I put the reference of Boys in the Hood. It's a movie that if you ever watch it, that's kind of how my neighborhood was. I will say that if you ever do watch that movie, please know that it's a rated R movie, and please watch it with a parent or get permission before you watch that movie because it is a pretty violent movie. However, it is the reality of the world and certain neighborhoods in our communities. Now, just like you guys, I went to school, went to elementary school, and also went to high school. And one of the differences that I realized when I ended up going to college and moving here is that a lot of my friends that here from Minnesota didn't have the same experience. So when I went to elementary school, again, there was a lot of bullying, there was a lot of like gangbangers, even at a young age. And when I went to high school, I didn't realize, or I didn't know what a metal detector was or why they needed one, and I was like, why are you patting me down? Why are you like looking for stuff on me? I'm not a gangbanger. But that's the way in my neighborhood where I was growing up, that's kind of the way it was. And for various reasons. And again, if you have any questions on that, please write them down. Um, now, I want to tell you guys something. Um, there was a lot of times where I was walking to school, just like a lot of you guys do. We didn't have school buses, so I had to walk through gang infested neighborhoods, and I would get assaulted. I would run. I was pretty fast, um, and my dad taught me how to box, so we we were chased. We were sometimes shot at by gangbangers that thought we were from a certain gang, and it was terrible, because I still had to go to school and I still had to perform. I still had to pay attention. I still had to do my homework under duress, and I think about that now, you guys, and I'm like, man, I don't even know how I did that. I don't know how like, how nothing happened to me, and here I am telling you guys this story because I think it's important because I feel like a lot of times we take a lot of stuff for granted, you know, and for me, uh, being able to share this with you is not to like saying, oh, man, poor Ray. It's not even, it's not about that. It's more of the reality of, well, like what we all go through, you guys, day in and day out as students, you know. And I just want you to know if anything in your school, if anybody is ever picking on you, if anything bad, if you see something, tell somebody. It's your responsibility to keep yourself safe and keep your homies safe, your other students safe. So now, all that being said, I get asked this question a lot, like, who taught you about the outdoors, Ray? Like, who taught you fishing and hunting and stuff? Is this dude right here, my dad? I'm named after my father. My name is actually Raimundo. Um, that's my dad's name. My dad's name's Raimundo, but everyone just calls us Ray. And my dad, growing up, he grew up in Mexico, and he grew up fishing and hunting. He grew up very poor. So a lot of times, in order for back when my pops was growing up, they didn't have Uber Eats or Chipotle or any of that stuff. You had to, like, if you didn't kill it, you didn't eat. You know, and that's a sobering thing because just imagine, you guys, like, you're at your plate, you're hungry, and right now you can go on your phone and order something. Back when my pop was like growing up, that didn't exist. He had a slingshot, and he had some rocks. He didn't even have like a shotgun or firearm. He did everything with a slingshot. I remember him telling me that, and I was like, that's crazy. He never had fishing rods or fishing line. He used like net that indigenous people used to use to catch fish. But he taught me and my brothers the art of angling, and also how to hunt and how to fish, and anything outdoors related. He really taught us all of that stuff. And I can sit here for hours and tell you all this stuff, but we don't have enough time. So let me move on to the next slide. So my first fishing tournament was when I was like 15 years old. I was a young dude, and that was like a really cool experience because I was like I was only 15, so I was like the youngest dude there, and I was the only kid of color too. Not that that really matters, but I kind of noticed because like I'm bilingual, so like I'm looking around to see, like, I see somebody who's like from my community, from my culture, trying to see if I see a homie, and nothing, but it was all good. I it was a wonderful experience to do a tournament at that age and continue my voyage of angling and learning. And I got to learn from not only fishing tournaments at a young age, you know, but also I got to learn fishing from like my uncles that did it, my dad, and some other elders that passed down their knowledge to me. And as I grew, as I went to high school, I got better as an angler. Um, and then I had to make a choice. When I was in high school, I was like, man, where am I going to go to college? And for me, it was easy, University of Minnesota. Well, why? Why the University of Minnesota? People always ask me, hey Ray, why did you choose the U? I I got accepted to a lot of schools. I was really blessed to had studied really hard and apply myself. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I was not the smartest kid, the brightest. However, one thing that I always knew that I had is I could outwork some of my friends when they were kind of being lazy and they were like just like, let's do it tomorrow. I would hunker down and I would like study and I'd get things done because I knew those gals and those guys were just smarter than me. But I was like, man, I need to put more time into studying. So because what I wanted to do ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a professional angler. I always knew what I wanted to do when I grew up. My teacher, I remember Miss Seigel asked me, it was like career day. I'm sure you guys have that. And they ask you, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, and I literally said, I raised my hand, or they called on me. I don't really remember. And I said, I want to be a professional angler. And Miss Seigel, God bless her, she's like, what the hell is an angler? And I was like, it's a person who fishes for a living that gets paid to go fishing, and she's like, oh, okay. And she had no idea what I was talking about, you guys. So anyway, I got the opportunity to be accepted to University of Minnesota. And I chose the University of Minnesota because when I was a kid, I would see the great Al Linder, Babe Winkleman, Chet Takasaki. These are like maybe folks, and they're like the LeBron James of fishing, you know. And for me, it was really, really cool because I wanted to be like those guys. I wanted to, wear the jerseys and have the cool sunglasses and be on the boat and, catch fish and get paid for it. I just didn't know how I was going to be able to do that. So I was like, I'm going to go to University of Minnesota. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to study and I'm going to fish and I'm going to figure out how to be a professional angler, which takes me to my next slide. What does it take to turn pro and, the tournament trail? How do you get there? Well, everyone everyone always sees like, the fancy jerseys, right here, your sponsors, they'll see your cool boats with the logos and all that. But you guys, when I tell you, no one knows what it takes to get there. That is that's like one of the most sobering things I can tell you. They'll I was talking to Katrina about this. I said, you know, when one day some of you will be professionals at whatever it is that you do, biologists, lawyers, doctors, police officers, maybe a professional angler, and people are going to see you and they're going to be like, man, wow, look at that guy, or look at that gal. Wow, they got the cool boat, they got the sponsors, they got this and that. They'll be maybe jealous of you, right? Of that stuff, of the truck, of the sponsors of your boat. But guess what? They'll never be jealous of you guys. They'll never be jealous of how you earned it. And that's literally what I want you to think about, and what I want you to take out of this seminar here is no one's gonna be jealous of how hard you work. You know what I mean? So, but the tournament trail works. It basically breaks down like this: you start as an amateur, and you work on the club level. You start there, right? And then from there, you're invited to participate in what they call pro-ams, professionals. From the pro-ams, if you do well, you compete. You're on a boat with a professional angler. You usually fish from the back of the boat, and you compete against other amateurs, and you earn points through those tournaments. And if you earn enough points and you do well, and you conduct yourself professionally, and you follow the rules, and you have good etiquette, you will advance. You will grow in the sport. I'm going to be honest. It takes a lot of time and a lot of hard work. Um, I told Katrina prior to this, I said, I slept in the back of my truck when I was in tournaments. Like I would drive, I barely had enough gas, you guys, to drive to a tournament, and I would eat once a day and sleep in the back of my truck and barely have enough entry money, to participate in a fishing tournament. So when I say it's challenging and difficult, it is, and it's not a glamorous life, not right away, because it's hard to win in these tournaments. You know, um, I want to share with you guys where I fished. So I fished all over the United States, and right here, people ask me, "Hey man, where have you fished?" Well, this is Lake Tahoe, and actually, I apologize. I should have even went more west. I've actually fished all the way to the Delta in California, but Lake Tahoe is one of the lakes that we fished bass and trout at, and the Delta. But this right here, you guys, is on the California and Nevada border. That's how far west I've fished, and all the way from obviously Minnesota, northern Minnesota, all the way to even Texas. I fished just long stretches of lakes on the tournament trail because the way it works, here I'll show you the guys the next slide. One of my favorite lakes is Lake Champlain. Now, if you notice this lake, this is one of the coolest lakes on the planet. It's like probably one of my favorite lakes. When people ask me, "Hey Ray, what's your favorite lake?" and I'm like, I love Minnesota lakes. They're probably my favorite, but this one is it's pretty awesome. It's a just a just a gorgeous lake. It's loaded with big smallmouth bass, but it's on the border of New York and Vermont, and to the north is Quebec. Our neighbors, our Canadian neighbors, and Montreal is out to the northwest on the St. Lawrence River, which is a wonderful, wonderful river, and again loaded with fish. But when you're on the tournament trail, you do anywhere between 10 to like 15 tournaments. And they give you, and what I say they is the association, BASS, BASS, FLW, depending on the organization that you're registered with. They give you a list of uh, basically lakes that you're going to compete at, and you compete against 100 to 200 other anglers at a given time. And it's very competitive. And again, you compete all over the United States. You go from Minnesota to like Lake of the Ozarks to Texas, from Texas to Florida, Florida to Lake Champlain. So it depends, like you can be all over the US and it's exciting. It's super cool. While my friends, after I graduated from college, my friends, they were in Fortune working for Fortune 500 companies. Um, I uh I was out fishing. I was doing tournaments, sleeping in the back of my truck, eating like cold food, out of a can, but that's what I wanted to do. That's what I chose to do. So the other place that I really like to fish is the Mississippi River. Um, I'm sure you guys know the Mississippi River starts here in Minnesota, but do you guys know where it starts? And do you know where it ends? You can put it in the chat or you can, because it's cool. I fish the river a lot. I actually guide on the Mississippi River. I guide in downtown Minneapolis. If you're ever in downtown Minneapolis, just look out on the river and you might see me out there right by the grain belt sign, by Boom Island, all by the Hennepin Bridge. I, that's basically my home waters because I don't live too far from there, and I guide all the way to the Coon Rapids Dam. So that's basically where I guide, and I also guide on other metro lakes, which I'll get to here in a little bit. I want to show you guys a bonus uh, deal here. This right here was a special trip. Um, this is maybe call it an international trip, if you will. Um, I went down to Sinaloa, Mexico, which is a northern state in Mexico, and I fished this lake called Lake Bacurato, and it is the greatest known lake for largemouth bass. If you want to catch enormous, huge largemouth bass, this is the lake. This is the best lake in the world for that. Starting on the left, that's me holding a 10-pound bass. I think it was like 10-2, 10 pounds, 2 ounces. The middle is me and my partner, me and my gal. She's actually a teacher as well. She's an educator. Um, that fish is as wide as both of us. It was scary catching that fish. It was unbelievable. That's another 10 pounder. That was like 10 and a half. I don't know, like 10, 10, 10 pounds, 10 ounces. And then on the right, another one we caught. It was a very special trip. It was super cool. Um, and we stayed at this really cool resorts and they took really good care of us. And we will be competing down there at some point as well. Um, but it is one of the greatest trips I've ever taken. If you ever want, if you know, parents ever ask you, "Hey, honey, what do you want for your birthday?" Say, "Hey, ma, or pop, I want to go to Lake Bacurato and catch 10-pound largemouth bass." So that's what I would ask for my birthday. I'm just saying. So, let's move to entrepreneurship. So, one of the things that was really cool is throughout my process, throughout my career, I never I always had really good entrepreneur skills, but I didn't really know how to use them until I started fishing, and until I went down the path of going on the tournament trail and then guiding and helping people. So when when I started this, it was really by accident. I had a friend of mine who worked in the nonprofit sector, and one day he says to me, my buddy Antonio, he's like, "Hey Ray," um, he worked at this pretty sizable, big nonprofit organization in St. Paul, Minnesota, and he said, "Hey man," because I would let me back up. I would take my friends out fishing, and I would guide them, and we'd be out there just having fun. And they'd be like, "Man, dude, you know a lot about fishing. I tell them put it left. You're moving it too fast." And they would be just catching a lot of fish based on my instruction and on my guiding. And here, let me see. Let me look at the chat here. What did I? Let me back. Let me stop the thing. What did you major in college to work towards? That's a really good. That's a really good question. Let me back up. Um, I actually never majored in any natural resources. People think I'm a biologist because I'm very knowledgeable on that. And I'm also very knowledgeable in natural resources and natural resources management. But I didn't major in that. I majored in actually history and Latin American studies. I got a master's degree in that. And people are blown away by that because they're like, how do you know so much about like the science part of it? Well, libraries are free to go to, books are free to um, check out and read. Uh, People who are biologists at the DNR are free to talk to. So that's what I did. I just picked everyone's brain and read a lot, asked a lot of questions. So that's how I got knowledgeable. And I was just always a very curious kid too, naturally. So that's what led me to um, not major in natural resources, which is, I just had other interests. That's why I never majored in that stuff. However, sometimes I look back and I'm like, man, I should have majored in that. So, but my favorite rod, oh God, either a St. Croix or Daiwa. Those are my favorite rods. Let's see here. So going back to how I got started. So my buddy Antonio, he asked me, "Hey Ray, would you be willing?" Because he was a outreach coordinator for this nonprofit, and he's like, "Hey, would you be willing to take some folks out fishing?" I said, "Sure." So we started at a very nano level, started taking folks out, but he's a little bit of a knucklehead. So he's a good homie, but he's a little bit of a knucklehead. And when people started registering, he never put a cap on it. He never put like a max of people that could sign up. So when I got to the event, to the dock, there was a lot of people, like a lot of people there. And that's when I realized I had a really good problem on my hands, where I had a community with a big appetite for fishing and the outdoors. Um, we do open water fishing, as you can see in this picture. Um, and we always go on public docks. So, slide. How come it's not going here? There we go. All right. This is actually not open water. This would be considered ice fishing, and we do a lot of work. Like my organization, when you come to one of our events, like if I back up, you'll learn how to tie proper knots, proper casting methodologies, how to set up your bob or your split shot, your weights, fish management, how to catch a fish, remove the hook properly, let a fish go properly, uh, the basics and fundamentals of fishing. You know, a lot of stuff we don't do advanced techniques because a lot of folks are just getting into fishing. And same thing with the ice fishing portion. We focus on basics and fundamentals. Um, in order to execute this, you guys, have, um, in order to serve people properly and do it professionally, do it the right way, and do it consistently, you need a good team and you need a group of volunteers. This picture on the left here is these are police cadets and also fire cadets from the Minneapolis Fire Department and Minneapolis Police Department. They come out and they would help with the kids on the ice on our ice fishing programs. We have a thing called a project called the 10,000 Ice Angler Project, where our aim and goal is to take 10,000 kids ice fishing tuition free from local schools. This guy right here, where I have the mouse pointed. This guy's name's Carl Erickson. He's the founder of the 10,000 Ice Angler Project. That's me right there. Um, and last year, we took 4,900 kids ice fishing. This year, it was about 2,900 kids ice fishing. Um, and we plan on running that program back for the teachers who are listening and are on the call here on the seminar here. Uh, I'll have my information if you want to register. Once we have registration open up, we'll give you more information on how you can potentially participate in the 10,000 Ice Angler Project. And we normally will have grades third grade through seniors. I think it's fourth grade through like seniors in high school. That's our window of students that we serve, and we do a lot of these events on local metro lakes, and we do it at scale. We normally every event will serve anywhere between 400 to 550 students per event, and we'll have I don't know 12 to 14 events a year. Again, in order to do this work, you need amazing people. You need a pro staff. And I am very blessed to have um, some really amazing people on my team that are dedicated, that love serving others, that love teaching, that are not selfish, that love their community and love to serve others, and love angling and love teaching it, and speak different languages. And that's always a special thing. Um, we're gonna. I'll go into some fun facts here, uh, of not necessarily fishing, but just kind of like stuff that as doing research because I also work not only was I an entrepreneur, but I'm also a writer. I write for a lot of outdoor publications, and I worked at the DNR for quite a few years. Um, and I learned some really cool fun facts. So there are 13 immediate lakes in Minneapolis. I don't know if you guys knew that. I know them very well because I guide on them, not on all of them, but because some of them are really small and they're not accessible for boats. But there's 13 lakes in Minneapolis. There are 11 lakes in the city of St. Paul. Now, this is cool here, man. There are 356 lakes in the Hennepin and Ramsey County and the surrounding suburbs. Now, a lot of you folks here, a lot of the students probably don't live in the Hennepin, Ramsey, or maybe you do, maybe you don't. But there is a lot of water, man. There's a lot of lake here in Minnesota. I thought this was cool too. When doing some research, uh, California has 840 miles of shoreline, right? Which is awesome. If anybody's been to California, it's a beautiful state, super cool. And we have Florida, which is really cool. Florida, I've been to Florida quite a few times, been up there fishing. I actually did a one of my favorite lakes, which is like right here. It's like Lake Okeechobee or Okeechobee. Uh, man, if you ever get to go there, do that. Ask your parents to take you there for your birthday. But Florida has some really tremendous fishing, and Florida has 8,436 miles of shoreline. That's a lot of shoreline. Now, the next thing is super cool, which I was blown away by. Minnesota has 44,906 miles of shoreline. And when I remember researching this and I was like, man, that's a lot of water. That's a lot of shoreline. I was like, that is super, super cool. You know, that is awesome. So yeah, I like doing a lot of research and I'm a nerd when it comes to fishing. Um, I love the real simple things, but I also love the really technical things of fishing. So, which leads me to my next slide here. I really want you guys to take advantage of some Q&A here because when I was a kid, when I was growing up, I never got to ask pro anglers anything like specific or general. I never got those opportunities. So here we are. And I want you guys to ask me whatever it is. There's no question that's silly or crazy. Um, and I'm gonna let's see. I'm gonna go to the chat here. All right, favorite rod. I think I answered that again. St. Croix is really good. Daiwa's really good. Although Phoenix rods are really good too. They're really good. Phoenix rods are good. Let me stop sharing my screen. Maybe that'll help. Well, before we do that, you guys, let me do this. Let's continue with the Q&A. But Katrina, are we cool with that?
Yeah.
Okay. But if anybody is interested in following us, we would really appreciate your support. Here is our Instagram handle, our YouTube handle, and our Facebook handle. I'll leave that up for a little bit.
Mhm.
If your teachers want to screenshot this and then they can give this to you later, great. I'll leave it up on the screen for a little bit. Um, we really appreciate the support and the follows because a lot of what we do is fishing education out on the community, and you'll learn about all our events because we post a lot of our events on these handles. We have on our YouTube channel, we have a podcast. On our Instagram, we have a lot of how-to videos, like how to do this, how to fish for bass, how to fish for walleye. Um, excuse me. Um, and the next slide here, this is my information here. Let's see if I can move this. There we go. That's my direct email for all the teachers out there or students that have any specific questions about anything fishing related. And I'm going to get to you guys' questions here in a second, but I just want to leave this up for the teachers as well. If you want to screenshot that, that'd be awesome. And we'll get to the Q&A. That walleye, if anybody has a question, I caught that on Mille Lacs. Um, I think I caught that during COVID. As you can see, I'm really shaggy. You see that, Katrina, how shaggy I am with my beard and my hair?
Yeah.
That's like, I was like Sasquatch. I used to call my Ray Squatch, but they used to call me Ray. My buddy was like, man, you look like a Sasquatch. I'm going to call you Ray Squatch. I'm like, all right, cool. Cool, dude. Whatever. Because, man, my barber, I mean, you couldn't do anything during COVID. You know,
Yeah.
you couldn't, yeah, you couldn't get a haircut. I looked shaggy. That was crazy. So
I'm sure the
let's
walleye
go to
didn't mind.
the walleye didn't care. Yeah, they really didn't care. Let's see. What do we have for questions, Katrina?
Well, we have what's your favorite local spot to bring anglers to?
Um, that's a great question. I would say local lakes, anywhere. If someone lives near a lake, I take them there. And the reason why is because the there's this misconception about fishing that you got to go to northern Wisconsin, man. You got to go to the Floyd, man. You got to go to Hayward, man. You got to go to Mille Lacs or all these big lakes. I've caught bigger fish on small bodies of water, and people don't even like. They're like, "Really? You caught that on that small lake?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude. Like, yes, I did. It's recorded. It's on film. You know."
Mhm.
So I would say uh, local Minneapolis lakes or local lakes where you live, and local rivers that are around your house. For me, I'm a mile from the Mississippi River. I'm just literally down the street. So I love taking folks out on the river because you never know what you're going to catch there. Um, you can catch a catfish, you can catch a walleye, you catch a sucker, you can catch a bass, northern, a big old crappie. I mean, it just yeah, it's awesome. So um, what else do we have? What's my favorite bait?
Hmm.
Oh man, um, that's a really good question. If you were to ask me that same question, but if you're like Ray, if you could only use one bait for the rest of your life, what would you use? I'd probably say a crankbait. And the reason why is because I've caught everything with a crankbait. Like any kind of fish, I've caught pike, bass, walleye, catfish, harp. I mean, I've caught all kinds of fish with a crankbait. So I would say probably a crankbait. Yeah.
For those of us who aren't, you know, solid anglers, what in the world is a crankbait?
Yeah, a crankbait is I don't know if I have one around here. No, I don't. A crankbait is just like a it's like a it's a it's made of wood or it's made of plastic and it has a lip on it sometimes it doesn't, but it dives to a certain depth and it mimics a fish. It mimics a moving fish. The cool thing about crankbait is when you throw it and you retrieve it, is it's coming down, you could go real slow or you can go really fast. So you can retrieve it fast and you stop it. A lot of times, here's my fish right here. I'll show you. A lot of times, there's a fish will what they call trailing or tracking the crankbait, and if you stop the crankbait, it'll eat it. It's
Oh,
like it's gonna crash like, oh my God, I'm gonna crash into this bait, and then all of a sudden, boom, they just eat it. And that's one of the things with my seminars that I tell people. They're like, man, I never catch fish on a crankbait. And I ask them, do you ever stop it? And they're like, no, I just reel it back. I'm like, yeah, that's sometimes you're out fishing the fish. You don't let the fish
mhm.
like get it close enough to it and you stop it and they have to make a decision.
Yeah,
They have to eat it or they have to say, oh, I'm leaving. That's a 50-50 opportunity. That's pretty good odds, in
yeah,
my opinion, you know.
yeah.
Let's see. What's the
So,
largest fish you've ever seen a student catch? Oh man. I can it was last year. Um it was last year. There was a kid that caught a 5 pound, it was a 4.5, maybe 5 pound largemouth bass. And then another kid caught on a tip up, he caught or excuse me, she caught I want to say like a 30-inch northern.
wow.
Yeah. So uh, those are pretty cool catches. And these are all students. We didn't. This is all them. They did this.
Mhm.
So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, do you have a favorite fish?
Did am I still here? I'm
Yes,
good.
you're still here.
Okay, I'm just sorry, my screen. Um, my favorite fish, man. It's hard not to like a sturgeon.
Hmm.
It's really tough. I was up in Baudette, Minnesota, up in the Canadian border on the Rainy River, and I competed in a fishing tournament called the SJR 500. And SJR means Sports Journal Radio. And it's a walleye and it's a sturgeon uh, tournament. And my partner, Diana, she caught a 40. That was her first sturgeon in her life she ever caught. Yeah. And I told her when you catch it, you're going to be mesmerized of how magnificent these fish are,
Yeah.
how prehistoric they are, how beautiful they are. You know,
Hmm.
I would say that fish is probably my favorite. It's between that and a largemouth bass.
Fair. Do you have a
Yeah.
favorite fish to catch?
Yeah, probably either a largemouth bass or a smallmouth bass. And it's interesting because they're both like it's a largemouth bass. They're mean. They eat everything. They eat. I tell this story, and I don't want to upset anybody, but it's a true story. I was doing a tournament one day. I was on Lake Minnetonka, and I catch this fish, and it's a big bass, and I bring it in, and I caught on a crankbait, on a shallow running crankbait, and the mouth was just a big old mouth, and I took using my pliers, took the hook out, and I look in its mouth, and it's two little baby duck feet, like in its throat. Yeah.
Oh my
And I was
goodness.
like, I don't want to say what I actually said, you know, because it would be inappropriate at the moment. But I was like, oh my, look at that. And I was shocked. I was horrified and shocked. And I
Yeah.
was like, I've never seen that. It was just unbelievable. And another time we were out there and we just saw bass coming up and just eating baby ducklings. Another
Oh,
tournament. It was horrible. But again, there's nothing you can really say, "Hey, bass, you stop that now. Come on. That's not cool, man." But that's the nature of that fish. They eat anything. I actually caught a I was down south um in in um in Florida and I caught a bass and it had a snake in its mouth.
oh,
It had eaten a snake and you saw the tail coming out and I started pulling on the mouth and it was a snake. It was like a little just a little like garden snake. Yeah.
oh,
Had eaten a little
okay.
snake. I know, man. They eat everything. They don't care. So I think that's why I like those fish because they have like they'll eat anything.
Mhm.
They'll eat anything,
Yeah.
So that's probably my that and the sturgeon. But my favorite fish to catch will probably be largemouth bass and a smallmouth bass because they're very smallmouth bass are very curious too.
Mhm.
They they'll actually come up to baits and just look at it, just like what is that? What do you got there? I've seen them do that. I see those fish do that.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah, really cool.
Well, we're out of questions, but we have 3 minutes. So is there any last minute words of wisdom you'd care to share?
Well, yeah, you know, when it comes to whatever it is that you want to do, you guys um, put your all into it. Um, you know, adults are always going to tell you work hard, dedicate yourself, and all that stuff is true. But also don't lie to yourself. And what I mean by that is be honest with yourself. And if you know you're not working hard, you know you're not working hard. You know what you got to do. Just do it. You know, um, sacrifice is something that is really hard to do. And I shared this with you, Katrina, something my father told me when I was a young man. He said, champions are made in the dark. And what does that mean? It means when you're putting in work, no one's going to say, hey, good job, son, or good job, daughter. Thanks for doing that. If you're seeking um, those type of things and you're waiting for them, you're wasting your time. You just have to just put in the work. And I'm telling you, when you put in the work, it's what we call human capital. You'll develop so much human capital that you'll be unstoppable. And that's what I want to leave you guys with is be unstoppable, be incredible, put in the work. Don't worry about people giving you high fives and telling you good job. That doesn't matter. What matters is did you make mistakes? Good. Make more of them.
Mhm.
Put in the work. Don't worry about getting credit. That'll come later. Just put in the work and sacrifice and put in more work. And when you think you put in enough work, put in more.
Yep.
That's what I have to say. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you so much for all the students, to all the teachers. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you for your wonderful presentation. It was amazing. I was astounded by some of the fish you've caught.
Thank you. Yeah, I got so many pictures. It's crazy. Got tons and tons of pictures of fish. So yeah. So
Yeah, and
awesome.
thank you everyone for joining us today. And we hope to see you back here tomorrow for some excellent, wonderful presentations from some other people.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thank you, everyone. Adios.